Hey everyone, welcome to episode 159 of the All Dolphins podcast on this Tuesday, December 12th, 2023. Very quickly on the number thing shouting out because we didn't bother with a player yesterday in the aftermath of the
He
20.
doesn't get a player.
He doesn't get a player when the Dolphins lose 28-27. And now you made me forget who I was going to say 50. Oh, a shout out actually. Somebody hit me up saying he was a nephew of this former Dolphin player, Tom Good, who was an offensive lineman from way back when, actually even before my time. So that takes care of 58. And now I totally forgot about 59. And I'm going to have to open my other window here. 59, who did I have?
Are you pulling like an old man senile moment? What's going
Yes.
on here? Are you sundowning?
Yes, I'm sundowning.
There's no sun today, by the way.
Sorry?
There's no sun today, which is weird.
No, but when I went to, drive the kids to school this morning, it was absolutely fabulous. It was like 60 degrees. Loving it. Loved it.
If you call that fabulous, I do not.
I love it. Well, you need it to be 80?
72. I'm good.
Okay. Anywhere between 60 and 75. I'm good.
Yeah.
59, how about Bob Brudzinski, member of the Killer Bees of the early 80s, famous for his restaurants in South Florida, Drew's Room.
Oh, I love their wings.
There you go. Did you know that you didn't know that they were related to a former Dolphin player?
No, I did know, but I didn't know his name was Bob Brzezinski.
Yeah. It was acquired in a trade from the Rams for, I believe it was a second and third round pick. And I actually had a gentleman in the comments section, in fact, on one of our recent podcasts, wondering why he's not in the Dolphin honor roll and whether I felt that he belonged there. And
yeah, that was a ridiculous question there, especially because he did make a Pro Bowl.
Harsh, but that's what I said. He was a good, solid player, but I don't know if he was Dolphin honor roll.
That's like putting Koamisi in the honor roll.
Bob Brzezinski was much, much better and accomplished than Koamisi. No offense to Koa.
Yes. Speaking of good wings, Bo Campers has good wings. I'm sure everybody knows that as well. I do like Bruce Room's wings, quite phenomenal wings, by the way.
Another 58. So we got the battle of Brzezinski's 59. Bo Camper was 58. So anyway.
Hey, you didn't go with Bo Camper for 58?
I did not go Bo Camper for 58. He'll get over it. He'll get over it. So bringing it back to the present, the big news on this Tuesday, I can't see now the schedule's all messed up. On this Tuesday, obviously the news confirming that what you reported last night, Connor Williams' injury, indeed severe, indeed a torn ACL. He's out for the year. A lot of mystery surrounding Tyreek Hill and the severity of his injury, with Mike McDaniel calling it day to day.
Whew. That ankle is going to be pretty tender for Tyreek Hill. We need to know if it's a high ankle or a low ankle. That definitely makes a difference. You think it's high, but remember, he wasn't wearing socks or tape on his ankle when he came back in the game. Like, that just absolutely makes no sense unless he's a mutant and a creature and just some ridiculous, cheetahs don't get hurt. Hey, I love the fact that after the game, he's basically said, my wife told me I need to get back in there. Like, suck it up. And he was
Hard Knocks has to have cameras in their house now when they're dealing with the ankle injury, and she's telling him, suck it up, Buttercup, get your butt back in there.
Yeah, we have to get the look of what it's like to see a player try to get himself ready for game day when he's not 100%. And hopefully Tyreek provides us that glimpse. I haven't seen it yet. We've seen the season-ending injury. We've seen the miraculous performance from Andrew Van Ginkel. I am dying to see how they cover this game because, woo, that's a doozer. And they didn't have it. They had probably 12 hours to turn that around.
Oh, long night for them. Long night for everybody. Long night for them. That is for sure. I'm basing, and it's me spitballing. I haven't seen it anywhere. I'm not reporting it. I'm spitballing based on the replay that I saw, and I've seen it many, many times, where it looks like it was higher rather than lower, where the strain on the lower leg would have been. So I'm obviously it's a lot better if it's a lower low ankle sprain as opposed to high ankle sprain. But we'll see. As far as Connor Williams, obviously the big issue now is, you know,
Left ACL tear, 9 to 12 month rehab. Now he finds himself in the Nick Needham situation. This is one of the classic reasons why players consistently push for new deals. They don't want to go into the year playing on existing contracts because the next year is not guaranteed. Let's say he would have got that $10 million a year deal instead of Austin Jackson last week. I'm sure he would have been feeling a lot more comfortable. Also, Austin Jackson was a little banged up at the end of that game. He's one of those guys that I'm worried about as well, from an injury standpoint. That, you got to feel bad for Connor Williams. Ultimately, he should probably be healthy enough to resume practicing in October, but you're looking at a long road back into a start.
When?
October of next year.
You don't think he'll be ready for July?
No. Since when did ACLs become 6 months? Like
since recent years where the technologies has improved. And
I'm still old school. Look at
go ahead, tell me.
Look at Brandon Jones. Look at Trill Williams. Both of, I'm sorry, ACLs are not 6 months.
Sure.
ACLs are 9 to 12 months. I don't care what they're doing with stem cells or blood cleansing. No, you're not coming back from an ACL in 6 months. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out with the Dolphins.
It was, yeah. Does he sign a 1 year, like, I don't want to say like 1 year
Nick Needham deal? Yeah.
Well, the difference between Nick Needham and Connor Williams is Connor Williams is a lot more established as an NFL player than Nick Needham was. So he's got that going for him. And also, I want to point out, remember, there was a reason Connor Williams held out, or didn't hold out because it's voluntary, but didn't show up to any of the offseason program because he wanted a new contract, and that's kind of why he wanted a new contract.
Yeah, and if I'm all of these guys like Rob Hunt, I don't think there's any money left. There's still the Austin Jackson deal still has not been reported yet, so I can't really tell you how much cap space the Dolphins have. But based on my projection, there isn't any money to spend to give a guy a new deal. Like there is no cap space left. They might be working with $1 million, and I don't think you can sign anybody with $1 million worth of cap space.
Further along, because we're going to be talking about the offensive line, I'm going to guess quite a bit.
You know what? I'm just going to shut up and not talk about the offensive line at all this week.
Except we have to, because right now that's
no. We had to last week, and you just ignored it. You just want to.
Well, I don't want to ignore it right
all week long.
I don't want to ignore it right now.
Now you don't want to ignore it. Oh, okay. It's convenient now.
And by the way, there were some who were like, I saw it on social media saying like, well, of course the Dolphin offense couldn't do anything because they were missing 4 starters. Fair point, except it doesn't change the fact that we're up 27-13. It doesn't change the fact that their last 2 drives, 4 backups on the offensive line or not. Number one, on the first drive, you're going to tell me if you're telling me it's impossible to get one first down because you have 4 backup offensive linemen, we got a problem. On the next one,
it's interesting that you say that because I remember asking Tua about having to play with backup offensive linemen probably 2 weeks ago, and he gave a very Tua-esque answer, which means he was incredibly too revealing. And he's just basically what's that face?
No. I'm curious. Wait,
He was basically like, yeah, that speeds up my clock. It forces my hand, encourages me to throw more checkdowns. I'm paraphrasing him all here. When guys are starting to get beat, I can feel it. I can feel that pressure. And he was sacked 5 times against the Titans. However, I went back and looked at the film and looked at every one of those sacks. Because somebody told me that Austin Jackson gave up like 2 sacks, and I'm like, no, he didn't. One of the sacks was on the turnover, the drop ball. Another sack, pressure up the gut, pressure allowed by Rob Jones that didn't end up in a sack. Eichenberg gave up a sack. Rob Jones gave up a sack. Rob Jones was a guy who really identified as struggled in pass rushing situations.
Same here.
Another sack was him slipping. So it's,
But let's, as you like to say, let's not pretend that Jackson played a clean game, because on the last drive,
no.
when Tua had to throw the ball away to avoid the sack, that was Harold Landry getting around Austin.
Yes, and I believe that there was a portion of that game where Austin Jackson was injured in that final drive, but it doesn't matter because a lot of people are injured. A lot of people are playing. You're out there on the field. You got to give it your best. Something looked like there was an issue with his hip. We'll find out later on the injury report.
Can I just jump in real quickly about the injury report?
Go ahead.
Here's the thing: the way the Dolphins have scheduled their week. They're off Wednesday, which is when the first injury report's going to come out. So it's going to be based on an estimation.
Mm-hmm.
Thursday, they're doing a walkthrough. So the injury report is going to be based on an estimation. And their real practice of the week is going to be Friday, which is when we'll get the first and final, actually really relevant.
What I find interesting about this week is that they did like medical stuff today. Mike McDaniel says he did not have a team meeting and players met on their own, watching film, I'm assuming with their coaches.
Correct. Okay? Position meetings, yeah.
With their position groups.
Yeah.
So it's treatment, position groups. Maybe they'll go over the game plan. And then so you don't practice on tomorrow. Then you do what tomorrow's Wednesday. Then you do a walkthrough on Thursday with the game plan, right?
Yep.
Then your only practice is Friday, and then I guess you do practice Saturday instead of a walkthrough. Is that what we're doing?
No, it'll be a walkthrough Saturday.
So we're doing 2 walkthroughs.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm okay. So
no, and again, at this time of year, as banged up as they are, and then the injuries, and again, every team has injuries, but
every team,
their team, like we're talking, like, because in addition to the guys who already were injured, now we're adding Brandon Jones, Deshaun Elliott, who by the way is in the concussion protocol. And if you're wondering how it was that he got back in the game, McDaniel explained that he got checked out by the
neurologist.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the acronym. I forget right now. By the neurologist, the independent guy. He was cleared, went back in the game, and then he told coaches and staff members there was something not right. He was experiencing some symptoms. They pulled him out of the game. Now he's in the protocol. Brandon Jones, Liam Eichenberg, although McDaniel said it was only bumps and bruises. You mentioned Austin Jackson.
Don't forget Javon Holland. We got to mention Javon Holland.
Javon Holland apparently told he does a spot on QAM where he's
in Crowder show. WQM's Hockman and Crowder show. What did he tell WQM's Hockman and Crowder show?
Apparently he's dealing with 2 sprained MCLs, which is not good. So, so the Dolphins have quite the list. So
2 sprained MCLs. When did we ever seen 2 sprained MCLs?
Never.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're looking at right now, Elijah Campbell enters the starting lineup. Yeah.
Well, if Elliott can't play them, I don't know that they have much of a choice. I don't know who else. They can't even elevate Verone McKinley because they waived him off. They released him off the practice squad last week or 2 weeks ago. I'm guessing somebody's getting signed to the practice squad. A safety is going to be signed to the practice squad. McDaniel talked about they might be bringing in a center from the outside to supplement what they have with Eichenberg and Lester Cotton. Sorry?
A street center. Like
street center. There you go.
Street meet, street center.
So no, but my overriding point on this is if there's a week where they're light on practice on a short week like this, I certainly can get it. I get it.
You've already gone through studying the Jets, and you know the Jets, and you know their personnel, you know their strategy, you know their game plan. Only thing you got to study for is Zach Wilson. It is. I'm not saying it's going to be easy because, as I've lectured everybody, anybody can get you on any given Sunday because that's just the nature of this sport. And sometimes
not necessarily on any Monday night because you weren't believing that. but any given Sunday.
Yeah, you got me on that one. Okay, all right. but also an injury can completely throw off your team's chemistry. I was reading the transcripts from after the game in the post-game locker room, and I know Jalen Ramsey was not making an excuse, but he basically said, we got replacements in there and communication breakdowns, and I think Duke sort of addressed it as well, that things aren't sewn together as tightly when you've got new guys in there. And yeah, they had a number of breakdowns on I don't know who was responsible for what, but there certainly were a number of breakdowns. It would definitely benefit you to get Javon Holland back if you could. Teron Armstead, what people don't realize is when he's in there, you can shift everything else protection wise to the right side when he's right. And I'm curious to see if he's going to be right. Mike McDaniels addressed the fact that it's a possibility that he could play against the Jets. He did basically rule Rob Hunt out, said that that's kind of unlikely.
So we're looking at an interior offensive line, unless there are further issues of Cotton, Eichenberg, and Jones.
Yeah, I mean, they've done it before this season, to be honest with you. So they've gone that lineup before. I think it was a game that Rob Jones got hurt. But it is what it is, man. You think the Jets are shedding a tear for you? They're on their 10th offensive line.
Well, and not only that, the Browns have lost 3 offensive tackles for the season. The Browns who are 8-5 in the playoff hunt just had 2 offensive tackles, like basically ruled out for the year today. So again, and here's the deal. There's nothing you can do about it. So you have 2 choices: whether you persevere and overcome it, or say, well, we had a lot of injuries, we're done. And
put your big boy pants on.
Exactly. So going back to my original point.
What is the original point?
My original point, and which feels like about a half an hour ago, that understanding that, yes, sure, the Dolphins had 4 backup offensive linemen on the field at the time at the end of the game in their last 2 drives. Again, it's still if we're going to go and suggest that it's not possible then to get a first down to close out the game because you have 4 backup offensive linemen, might as well, take out the golf clubs and go head straight to the off season. And on the final drive, there were a couple of plays where Tua was pressured and Tua was sacked on the final play, but there are also plays where he actually had time, but then wound up throwing short. And I'm going to assume it's because nobody was open downfield. I don't recall. You know what? I still don't recall seeing Tyreek on the field at that time. I guess the Titans were focusing on Waddle. I don't know if they were bracketing him or what, but again, in a 2-minute drill like that, when you wind up checking down and throwing 7 yards in the middle of the field, ain't the way to do it.
They were pressing on the outside, cloud coverage with safeties over the top, and dropping linebackers into coverage, following Buffalo's blueprint of pressuring Miami with just 4, no blitz. And if you can get pressure on the Dolphins with 4 rushers, 4 on 5, it's going to be beneficial for you.
That's any team.
Yeah.
But again, even in those plays where they didn't get to Tua, you couldn't find anything down the field or near the sideline other than that pass to Achane, which boggled the mind. And
I looked at that play; nobody was open, unfortunately.
Did you see an all 22? Because I haven't seen an all 22 yet come out of that game, and from the TV version that they have, I can't tell. I mean, it looked like it was pretty quick that Tua went to Achane, which almost leads me to believe that it was a call play. I don't know for a fact. I want to see the all 22. But then that's a rookie. Well, here's the problem that happened is Achane, the second he caught the ball, he's got somebody right on his butt, and he had to make an inside move. Otherwise, he's getting tackled for a 5-yard loss inbounds. But then they would have taken some pretty quick thinking to make your move inside and then go right back outside and get your butt out of bounds to stop the clock.
It was all just bad. Bad play calling, bad execution, bad defense, bad special teams play. It was one of those games where you got to learn from it and you got to rebound and you got to respond. Go ahead.
Sorry, can I address something else too that I see on social media all over the place and in the questions that were asked? All this dumping about
you don't stay off social media after an ugly loss like this? I can't do it. Cannot do it.
Social media.
Huh?
I live on social media. And in fact, one of our colleagues who I won't mention right now was talking about like, stop looking at everything else. Red zone was the problem. That's why they lost, because they were 2 for 5. Number one, by the way, before we start like going crazy about, oh my God, the Dolphins and their red zone problems, you realize they're number one in the NFL still. That's number one. Number two, forget red zone. If you want to point somewhere else other than the complete defensive collapse and the failure of the offense to move the ball at the end, how about you go goal to go? Forget red zone. They had 4 goal to go situations. They scored 1 touchdown. That's a lot more than red zone problems. And that's been an issue for most of the year. I don't know where they rank right now, but they've not been great at that. And it wasn't strictly, there were a couple of times where they were quick to throw the pass. And I really wish they would stop with those fades, because those are not good.
They used to be good. Teams are playing them now.
When was it good?
Oh, training camp early in the season. I think they hit one against the Chargers. And
They did. The game winner was a fade.
Like, oh, it's so beautiful. It's so elegant. And then, yeah. But you know what? We did ask Mike McDaniel for the fan base. What's up with Chase Claypool, and why isn't he being utilized as a basically goal line red zone target? Guy's got size. He's built like a tight end. He's got height. He can obviously help you. What are you drinking there? Does it look like a slush? Look like a
No, that was iced coffee.
Ew. Okay. And Mike McDaniel basically acknowledged and admitted that that Cedric Wilson is outperforming him in practice. I'm gonna cut all the flowery stuff, and basically he said Cedric Wilson is outperforming him in practice. And we had a package ready for him, not necessarily in the goal line, but we just didn't get to it. So
yeah, basically
that answers your question.
Basically, Wilson took his snaps away from him in practice. Ouch.
Cedric's been playing well. I mean,
no, he is. And the one fade, in all fairness, the one fade to him that was incomplete. Look at the replay, and there's a replay in the back, and you'll see the DB with doing this.
Oh yeah.
Where it's one of those where it's going to get called sometimes. It's not going to get called other times. That time, and it was like a play or two, a couple of plays after he got the DPI on him, so maybe the official was like, "No, okay, yeah, I'll give you that one."
Yeah, I'm not gift wrapping a victory for you. Yeah, and I totally believe and support those decisions. Let me ask you this question: which member of the offensive line, the projected offensive line, are you the most concerned about? Even though, since this is the last day, I'm going to be talking offensive line.
Promise.
Yeah, see, I knew you wanted it. Don't lie to me.
I don't want it. I just don't want 15 minutes on Teron Armstead every day. But I'm going to hold you to it since you bring it up. Most concerned about based on what I saw last night, I will tell you, number one, I like the dude personally, and it pains me to say this, but I was really troubled by what I saw from Robert Jones in pass protection.
Yep. Great run blocker.
Yep. Very, very good run blocker.
Scary. And I think it compromised a lot of Austin Jackson's play and performance. But it is what it is, man. You get these opportunities very infrequently, and Robert Jones is an impending free agent, just like everybody else on the team. And your future depends on your performance now in this instance. So, hey, best of luck to you, my brother. I also would like to address, we gave Andrew Van Ginkel a lot of praise. But the performance.
I was going to say, now he's about to get dumped on. Go ahead.
No. The performance was not up to par, my friend. And, it just, not just him, but everybody else, including, Bradley Chubb. He took an L for his helmet smashing and helmet throwing and took responsibility for it. And he's right. 2 feet. If I walk 2 feet out of bounds, like, that's not a penalty.
Kind of common sense. I mean, keep you cool for 5 more seconds. Seriously.
But I saw 91 wasn't good enough. And I'm at the point where I'm starting to wonder about Jason Pierre-Paul. I need to see it so I can understand whether or not it can help
Yeah.
you or not.
He played 3 snaps. Here's one thing I noticed also, and that somebody had brought up to me, was like asking if there was something wrong with Van Ginkel because he barely played at the end of the game. It looked to me at the end of the game that was very clear that if it was going to be a pure passing situation, they wanted Agba in there. And when the Titans got close to the goal line, then it was Van Ginkel on the field. In fact, he was on the field for that touchdown. And here's the thing about Gink. And if you bring it back to a couple of weeks ago when you were like, we were talking about potential drop-offs, and I think I didn't praise or shower Van Ginkel with quite as many roses as you would have liked me to. And my thing was that, and he was coming off this monster game against Washington, I think it was. But it's not necessarily always there. I mean, he's a high effort player, but the production he had against the Commanders was, it wasn't necessarily, you can't expect that from him every game. The effort was there. He made a really good play very early in the game when he diagnosed a swing pass and tackled the guy for no gain or 1 yard loss. But and he's going to make plays occasionally. But I mean, let's not pretend he's the player that Jalen Phillips was at the time of Jalen's injury.
Okay.
Agreed?
He's not at the athlete Jalen Phillips is. I would say production-wise, they're on par. I never saw Jalen Phillips. I think I don't even think that's his first touchdown he scored against the Commanders. He just always finds a way to make a play.
He had a fumble return against the Rams and to his first start.
Look at you. See? Look at Rain Man doing his thing.
You know who sacked Jared Goff to create the fumble?
No.
Your friend, Emmanuel Agba.
Oh, man. Okay, yeah. Emmanuel got to turn it up as well. Just wasn't enough pass rushing. Just wasn't enough pressure. Outside of the Sealer interception and Christian Wilkins' sack, just wasn't enough.
I'd see, and I had more issues with what was going on in the back end than the pressure because they were around. They only had 1 sack. I get it. Bradley Chubb was around the dude the entire night. Christian once or twice. Sealer wasn't much of a factor as a pass rusher in this game as he was against the Commanders, for example. But I don't know that it was terrible. It was just the back end, the coverage was really poor, and then maybe part of it was the communication breakdowns. Like on that play with Hopkins when he's running across the field. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins of all people, you're gonna let him run wide open across the field.
You're in zone. Are you gonna pass him? And I just thought the strategy on DeAndre Hopkins was not good. And obviously the yardage and the production that he produced proved that it wasn't good. But it is what it is. C'est la vie. We live to fight another day. Let's just hope that they don't get exposed by the Jets this week. Because if they do, then it's gonna be all out panic in Dolphins land.
And the Jets have become a lot more concerning to me than they were before last Sunday because Zach Wilson again apparently figured out how to play quarterback, and supposedly the whole approach was F it, and saw something. I don't know if it was like a report or a suggestion or a funny line that Aaron Rodgers went to the coaches at halftime and told them, like, did you just let the kid throw the ball already? And then apparently started winging it and slinging it and wound up over 300 yards.
We will be breaking down the Jets with Antoine Staley tomorrow on Behind Enemy Lines, which is pushed to Wednesday. Also, we will be doing episode 160 tonight on the All Dolphins podcast, breaking down or recapping the live episode of Hard Knocks, episode number 4, which gives us our first bit of adversity from a team standpoint, not an individual. Jalen Phillips was an individual. From a team standpoint, considering they're coming off that loss. We will see you. Do we put it at a time or like 10:50? I mean 9:50, or right after?
Let's make it 10 p.m. just to be. That's when it ends at like 9:58.
Yeah, it ends at like no. It's got like commercials at the end. It's like a 44-minute episode, and then they throw in 15 minutes of commercials and advertisements. So But yeah, let's say ballpark. We'll be here at 10 o'clock, but just log in when the show's over.
Okay, there you go. That's fair.
Poop might need a potty break, but I'll be good to go. My bladder will be clear. I'm good. Not
Prostate,
really, but
prostate, baby. Just
yeah. No.
just you'll get there one day.
I'm there. I'm just waiting for my health insurance to kick in. So we will be back later tonight to wrap this up. Obviously, Dolphins licking their wounds coming off that tough loss to the Tennessee Titans. Short week against the New York Jets. You cannot wallow in your misery. You got to move on and turn the page, and we will see if this.
Whoa, hold on. Before you do that, we cannot let you leave without pointing out. In the meantime, go to alldolphins.com where you will find about 9 or 10 stories recapping the game, closing the book on the game, looking ahead. Omar has a column coming up. So right there, alldolphins.com, everything for free.
For free, no subscriptions. All right, folks. We'll see you later tonight.